podcast. I'm Richie.
I'm Avery.
I'm Emma.
Today we're going to be talking about Yevona Troxell and Mikaela Stemen from the Department of Child Nutrition here in West Clermont. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Which one of the 7 habits do you keep in mind when choosing the menu?
I would say think win-win. So at the end of the day, sometimes things don't really, things might not be available. We kind of run through pickles of having to change things last minute, but at the end of the day, feeding kids is a win. So
what happens when you run out of something, just logistically, especially a popular item? I'm sure kids come in and they're disappointed.
We do try very hard. 5th grade, always. It's a scramble because they're our last to eat. So I always try to make sure we have extra. On occasion, if we get something super new that we didn't know how well it would go, that we'll have to make a little adjustment. But usually if that happens, we pull out something that we know they all like. So they still have a yummy choice of something that they would take anyways.
And we are super fortunate enough to have a lot of other schools around us. So if we really, really needed to, we could kind of call on them to help us out too.
Can you tell us about the process of creating a menu for the entire district?
Yeah, so that's actually what I do full-time here at West Clermont, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, they came up with rules that we have to follow when creating a menu. So, of course, we have to follow the rules, but we want to make sure it's things that you guys like as well. So, sometimes we'll come out and sample new things or get you guys involved in the menu planning process as well.
How much flexibility do you need to step outside the box of a normal menu the normal menu items, and what are the guidelines for that?
So we here at West Clermont we do something that's called offer versus serve. So it gives you guys the choice to decide what you want on your lunch tray. Like I said, the USDA gives us rules that we have to follow. And as long as we stay in those rules, we usually have a lot of flexibility.
What is it like planning special meals such as Thanksgiving and Grandparents' Dinner? How different is that from planning a normal day-to-day meals?
So these are my favorite kind of meals to plan because they're special meals and they usually involve a special treat. So usually the same kind of planning goes into it, but for things like Thanksgiving, we usually do things like pumpkin pie, or even for St. Patrick's Day, I think we did a lot of green things to kind of highlight the holiday.
How often do you revise the menu, and when do you know it's time to revise?
So usually we follow a 5 weeks menu cycle. So every 5 weeks, they kind of repeat. Week 1, week 2, week 3. It's typically every month that we kind of revise things based on what kind of feedback you guys give us. Because if you tell me that you don't like something, we'll take it off that menu and try something new.
How do you guys get that feedback aside from seeing what wasn't purchased or chosen? How do you obtain the feedback?
Well, usually what I do, especially when we have a new menu item, I'll come out and because we have the microphone out there and I'll be like, 5th grade. So who tried the chili cheese fries today? Hands up. If you would eat them again, keep your hands up. And I would be like, or if you, like the first time we tried it with like chili with beans, I'm like, if you would prefer it with Cincinnati chili, let me see your hands. That kind of thing.
What was the result of that one? Did they like the beans or
no?
Not?
They preferred the Cincinnati chili much better.
There was an option during COVID for families to have food sent to their homes. What went into making sure families got nutritious food, and what did the collaboration look like during the process?
Okay, well, I was here during that, so I can answer that for you. First of all, teamwork was a big part of that because we were in teams. We even got special cards from the state of Ohio that said we were allowed to drive on the roads because at the time you couldn't be on the road. So we were that important. Child nutrition was that important. So we would come and we had a team that planned all of the food, and it was really hard to do because we had to make sure that we had stuff that we could put in packs and that would hold for a few days because we would give you a week's meal at a time, breakfast and lunch. So we had the planners, and then we had the people who put the bags together. I was on that team, and I was also on the team that passed it out as if you guys can remember, guys could drive right up. We had a bag that gave you all of your milk for breakfast and lunch, a breakfast, a lunch, fruits, vegetables for every day of the week.
Were you guys involved with the boxes that were shipped to the homes too, or was that a different service?
We were not involved in preparing those, but the child nutrition team is the one that had to like do the like planning to get like the names. Like
Yeah, because
we
that was open to anybody. You didn't even have
Yes.
to be a West Clermont kid. It was anybody in our district that could.
The administrative team did a great job of getting the word out, getting the names, getting them set up. So yeah, we fed a lot of people through that time.
What food do you put on the menu to help keep the students' mind sharp?
So it is important that we offer, all 5 components. So milk, your protein, your grains, and then your fruits and your vegetables. Obviously, different foods have different vitamins and minerals in them that help keep your brain sharp. So they all kind of work together. But things like omega-3s that you find in like berries or your sunflower seeds or your leafy greens that are on the salad bar are great ways to keep your brain sharp.
In what ways are students involved in the food selection process?
I kind of touched on this a little bit, and we're kind of actually redoing this a little bit because we want to be able to make sure that every student has input. So, it's usually me, but we'll go out to a building and say, hey, we're going to try, let's say, this specific brand of pizza. And then every student, even if you don't buy lunch, could get a chance to try it. And then you guys could usually do like a chart where you put stickers like, yes, I like it, or no, I don't, or like a trash can that says, yes, I like it, no, I don't. And then that way we can get your feedback to put it on the menu.
Can you tell us about an item that didn't go over well with students?
This year, most everything went pretty well. But I will tell you last year, do you guys remember trying the taco mac and cheese?
Yes.
Yes. Didn't go, nobody really liked it. Did you like it? No, I didn't think so. We didn't, yeah, right away we knew that was not going to work.
I never really bought lunch last year, so I didn't.
Did you guys do the ramen here at Willowville like they did at the high school?
No, so that was a high school thing.
Okay. I didn't know if there were. I guess that would be another question. Is what's the difference in? Are all schools created equally in what is offered, or how does that work?
So the younger kids have different requirements than the older kids do. So you do run into issues of calorie limits. So the high schoolers will get more calories than the elementary kids. So usually they'll get things that are, either bigger servings or a little bit more complex just to meet their needs at the high school level. It is something that we totally could do here at the elementary level, maybe just not to the same extent as the high school, but it was kind of a specialty thing that we did there.
That is something for you guys to look forward to as you get to the middle school and high school. You get lots more
There's
choices.
a lot of stuff in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any items you would like to add but you aren't able to?
I really thought about this question, and I actually asked Yevona too what she thought. We actually recently had a student submit to us that they would like to see seafood boils. And I don't know if I am on social media, and that is what is all over my social media right now. And if I could do it, I totally would, because I think that would be a big hit. You do run into concerns with allergens, people being allergic to it, but I think that would be something I would totally add.
Richie has something to say.
I know.
About seafood boil there.
I saw this video, and me and my mom have just been obsessing over it because we want to try seafood so bad.
Oh, yeah. We had some requests for sushi, too, and we're like, well, that might be some work, but we'll look into it.
Sushi might be more doable than seafood.
Sushi.
Yeah. It's not for everybody.
No, I love sushi, but how do you like a seafood boil but not sushi? I feel like.
Well, they're definitely two different.
I've just never tried a seafood.
I feel like shrimp and like crab and whatever. Like their crab, it goes into sushi. It's a crab roll.
It's the same thing.
I think it's tricky though too, because typically sushi can be raw though, and that's usually sometimes not what people want. But you can get I used to get like a deep fried shrimp sushi roll, which was really good. But
how does the nutrition staff work as a team, and what happens when someone has to miss work? Are there substitutes like teachers we have?
Okay, Teamwork is a big one on this one too. That's one of our 7. We do have a few substitutes, but there are a lot of ladies, a lot of people that work in child nutrition, and probably not as many subs. So a lot of times, if we're shorthanded, we can pivot quickly and we just make a little adjustment to the salad bar where it's not so much scooping and cleaning, or we can pre-bag a few things. So we just work together, and it usually works out in the end of the day.
I remember a few days ago you actually none of the ladies come in except for you at breakfast.
Oh, I was all by myself, yeah.
I
But you guys did great. And that was just one where I asked the older kids to help some of the little guys who couldn't reach as well, because usually we help them along, but it was just me that day. So the older kids helped the little kids. They were great leaders that day. And we worked it out, didn't we?
Would you say breakfast in general is easier to distribute than the lunch?
I would say yes, because they don't, not quite as many options. They have, they can choose fruits, they can choose juice, and then they have 2 options for breakfast. We have a hot option, a cold option, usually every day. But it's not as many going through the salad bar and be like, oh, do I want carrots? Do I want peas? Do I want, a little less options to choose from.
Makes sense.
How do you keep the kitchen running smoothly during meal times and ensuring everything is ready on time for each lunch?
Okay, so that one's a good one begin with the end in mind and to be proactive. I'm a big list maker. If you ever come into my office, I have lists and Post-it notes everywhere. I make a list of what we're doing for today, what we're doing for the week. Things have to be done by the end of the month. So what I always start with is what's the most important thing that has to be done for the day. So we'll put that in. I'll put that in a list. I leave a list outside to help the other ladies with me and be like, this is what we need to be done most importantly. And then I make sure we check the numbers. So it's always important when you guys give us your lunch count, so I know exactly how many we need. And we always try to make a little extra. And it's just a lot of organization. I have to say I'm a kind of an organized person. So
Does that translate into your personal life at
Oh,
home
yes.
too? Or is it just okay, I have to be like this at work, so at home
Yes.
I'm more, okay.
I have to always have a plan in mind. Even when we go on vacations, I'm like, okay, what's our plan? What are we going to do on this day? What are we going to do on that day? I mean, I can be a little flexible, but I kind of like to know what's going on.
Do you enjoy cooking at home?
Yes.
Or you do?
In the summer or in the school year, it's probably a lot more like hamburger helper and quicker stuff.
Yeah.
But in the summer, I love to make homemade guacamole and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
What motivates you most about your job?
You guys. It's all of you guys. Being able to feed you guys every day, breakfast or lunch, or both even. It's why I do what I do. I love seeing all you guys come in and be excited about the food that we're serving or giving feedback. So,
yeah, me too. I kind of started this job 20-something years ago, when I first had a baby. So I would know when she was in school, I was here. When she was off, I was off. So that in my mind, that was just being a mommy. But as the years grew, more and more kids are like, oh, I have to make sure that I have this, and I have to make sure that they like that. And I love getting hugs. And my favorite thing is when they say, that is the best chili cheese fries I've ever had.
What's in the back of the lunchroom that's hidden from all the students?
Okay, so I have my super secret stock room where we keep all of the snacks and the veggies and the fruits and all of that are back there. We also have the freezer. I have a big freezer and the coldest freezer I've ever seen. That keeps all of our chicken nuggets, chili, all that kind of stuff. And then we have a big refrigerator that keeps all of our fruits and vegetables, the juice.
Are there backup generators for those in case
Yes.
the power goes out?
Mm-hmm. And my office, which I have to say, I have the coolest office in the district. I have my Bigfoot in there, and I have my Lord of the Rings picture. So I keep a pretty cool office.
What would you say is the most popular snack item that kids go for?
Snack, you guys should probably answer this. We do the ice cream. They like ice cream.
We see a lot of spicy snacks at the middle school and high school. We cannot keep up with spicy like Cheetos, Doritos. Those usually run out of stock pretty fast. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think. What do you think?
I like the like it's like one color, it's like icy, but it has like one color and then another.
Oh, the
color.
sidekicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, I like those.
I like those too.
I like the switch drinks. It's not really a snack,
Yeah.
but I do really like them.
Those have become really popular, and it's really just juice. It's not like a lot of kids think they're getting a soda, but it's just carbonated juice.
I know at the high school you guys go nuts for the Bosco sticks because when we didn't have them, that was it was like we were in a drought of some sort, and woe was everyone.
Well, they haven't returned yet at the high school.
Oh, okay.
Wink.
Yeah.
But they are here, and when me and Abby were here one day with them, we went to their lunchroom and got their Boscos.
Yeah, there's definitely some favorites across like every grade, and I think Bosco's is definitely one of them that you see from kindergarten to 12th. That every kid is like, oh, I could really go for some Bosco sticks.
Bosco sticks have been my favorite since kindergarten.
Yeah.
How often, if at all, do you go to other schools in the district?
So for me, being the assistant director, I actually try to spend as much time going to buildings. I do have an office that I kind of hang out in, but I want to see what's happening in my schools. I want to see what you guys are doing and getting your feedback. So I try to get out, make my rotation. There are 11 schools, so it does get kind of tricky sometimes, but I do try and visit you guys pretty often.
How do you make sure that each student for example, how are you proactive about allergies?
Yeah, so allergies is a big one, and I think that as we continue to, grow and develop, and I think that more and more allergies are seen. So a big thing that it comes from, the parents is kind of where it starts. Your parents will say, hey, my child has this allergy. You come into our cafeteria, I put notes so when you come through the lunch line, the cashier knows, your name will pop up and it'll say, hey, he's allergic to eggs, don't give him eggs. It's big. I work really close with all my managers, just making sure that they know the students and what they can and cannot have. And then this year we also just added more choices. So, we can avoid, if you're allergic to peanuts, well, that's okay because Uncrustable isn't the only option. You can choose yogurt, you can choose hot dog, you can choose whatever it is on the menu that day. So,
in experience, what do you feel is the most unhealthy option you've offered on your menu?
I think you guys stumped us with this one. We sat back there and talked for a little bit because truthfully, we are required to follow, the regulations that they set for us. And while you might think that, oh my gosh, they serve us cookies, but the cookies that we serve you are a little bit different than, a cookie that you buy at the store. So they have like whole grain, which has more fiber, which helps, a bunch of different things. So I don't know if I have an answer for that.
I like the cookies here better.
You like those cookies? Those are new this year. I like them too. What about the donuts?
I love the
I like
donuts.
the donuts.
I've never had the donuts.
You haven't had the
Yeah,
donuts?
those are good.
What kind of donuts are they?
Cinnamon sugar. Yep.
I don't think. Oh, I don't think.
You
I like the cookies at our school.
I don't
the
think I
chocolate
love
chip
the
ones.
donuts, but I did like the cookies.
Yeah, and I think should be doing the donuts now. But yeah, those cookies they come in a few different flavors. Which is good.
Do you find yourself following the same nutrition guidelines outside of school?
You wanna go? Go ahead.
I try really hard. I have to say, I love everything chocolate, so that's probably not the best choice. But I do try to make sure, like we have, especially with my family, we have a balanced meal of a vegetable, a good filling dinner, get a good breakfast.
Yeah, I would say I try and aim for the same. I think the biggest thing that I took from, starting this job is the fruit and vegetable piece. I mean, I truly feel like I was not eating enough fruits and vegetables. And then when I was coming here and giving them all to you, I was like, well, maybe I should probably be doing that too. So I feel like I find myself eating more fruits and vegetables.
Thank you, Yevona and Mikaela, for being on the Warrior Way podcast today. We appreciate you sharing your thoughts and sharing more about your roles in the nutrition program here in West Clermont. That's all today's episode. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in.